What really happened between Jungkook and Jimin? Why did Jungkook do something so crazy secretly and nobody noticed? Is this a form of love, regret, or emotional struggle we've never seen before? Jimin's suddenly cold reaction made things even more confusing. Is their friendship cracking, or is this the culmination of something they've been hiding from the army? Why would someone who is usually calm, quiet, and strong-looking like Jungkook suddenly do something unexpected for just one person? Jimin? Why would he be willing to risk his image, break the boundaries of comfort, and even ignore the public's reaction just for the sake of making someone understand how valuable he is? This question now resonates among the army after the shocking moment that was secretly recorded during the meeting of BTS members, a moment that shows Jungkook's emotional side that has never been seen before. But what exactly happened? It all started with a seemingly ordinary meeting. The members of BTS have reunited after a long absence in public. But something feels different. Not only because the atmosphere was quieter than usual, but because of Jimin's unusual expression, a cold look directed directly at Jungkook. And what is more surprising? Jungkook, as it were, it doesn't matter. But is it really so? Someone behind the camera captured something barely visible to the public eye. Jungkook looked at Jimin in silence, as if he had 1,000 words to say, but was imprisoned behind his locked lips. While Jimin, who is usually full of smiles and tenderness towards Jungkook, actually showed a piercing distance. The question is, what really happened behind the meeting? And why Jungkook, despite his nonchalant attitude, actually did something very bold, very crazy. The moment, which was not recorded in full by the public cameras, actually harbors an emotional fragment that only those closest to them know. Some of the staff even mentioned that night, after all the cameras were off, Jungkook approached Jimin with a serious expression and said in a trembling voice, "I hope you realize, all this time, I've never been indifferent." A sentence that instantly makes the atmosphere quiet. But Jimin didn't answer. He just stared straight ahead, then left without a word. What is the meaning of Jungkook's words? Has she been harboring guilt all this time? Or maybe he was trying to convey something deeper? Clearly, Jungkook's actions didn't stop there. He is known to arrange surprises for Jimin, not in the form of fancy gifts or public gestures, but in the form of memories. Jungkook secretly rearranges their old playlists, songs that only the two of them know the meaning of. He even left a handwritten note in the rehearsal studio, "For someone who may not realize that he is my center of passion." But did Jimin find it? Or is it all too late? Even more surprising, according to an unnamed source, Jungkook even canceled a major international bid just because his schedule clashed with the members' meeting time. Was this the kind of sacrifice he wanted to show Jimin? And why doesn't anyone know about it? Not even the other members. There is a big question that remains unanswered. Why is Jimin being cold? Does he know all of Jungkook's business? Or is he waiting for a more honest, more real confession, not in the form of hidden actions? Because in the eyes of many ARMY, the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook is not an ordinary relationship. They have gone through tough times together, supported each other in the weakest times, and laughed when the world was heavy. But now, with all the silence and tension, is this the end of their closeness? The ARMY began to uncover small clues. Like Jimin's expression changes when he sees Jungkook talking to other members. Or when Jimin suddenly left faster than usual, leaving the room without turning his head. There were also those who noticed that Jimin stopped liking some of Jungkook's posts, even though he was usually the one who actively showed support. But the biggest surprise came when Jungkook posted an old photo of the two of them without a caption. The photo, which was saved for a long time and never shared before, features a raw moment as they laugh together amid training fatigue. Many wonder, is this a form of apology? Or a hint that Jungkook misses the closeness they used to have? Shortly after, large fanbase accounts started speculating. Could it be that Jungkook did all this because there was something he regretted? Is this related to a small incident that was crowded a few months ago when Jungkook was reportedly too focused on his solo project and seemed to ignore an important moment involving Jimin? Or was there a private conversation between them that did not go well? Jungkook is clearly trying to convey his feelings, though not directly. And this is what makes it all so emotional. Because love, whether in the form of friendship, appreciation, or loss, is not always expressed in words. Sometimes love comes in the form of silence, in the form of a silent sacrifice, in the form of a forced smile when the heart wants to cry. The question now is, will Jimin realize all this? Or rather, will he allow himself to be touched again by the kindness of a Jungkook who tries to fix everything without being asked? Many soldiers are now observing their every move. Look for clues from the way they stare at each other, from the choice of songs they sing, to the cryptic captions on social media. But the true answer is only those who know. Maybe there will be a time when they talk openly. Probably not. But for sure, there is a big story hidden behind Jungkook's indifferent attitude, one that cannot be underestimated. And one fact is now indisputable. Jungkook was willing to do the craziest thing in his life for one thing, to let Jimin know that he mattered. And if that's not enough, perhaps Jungkook was willing to lose everything, including his own composure, just to make Jimin understand that he was never alone. So now the question is no longer about what Jungkook is doing. But will Jimin respond? Or will it remain silent, as if nothing had ever happened? If so, what does all this sacrifice mean? And if not, is this the beginning of something bigger, a confession that's been buried, waiting to be revealed? Is it possible that this feeling is too late? Perhaps we all focus too much on the glittering glitters of the stage, on the smiles that seem so convincing, to forget that behind the spotlight, there are two human beings who are looking for each other, and perhaps also losing each other. Because there are moments that cannot be repeated, words that are too late to say, and wounds that cannot be healed with just one hug. Some people may ask, what's wrong with Jimin that Jungkook has to go to great lengths to prove his feelings? But the more important question is precisely this. What is so big and deep that Jungkook feels like he has to do everything secretly? Shouldn't love, care, or guilt be enough? But not with Jungkook. He always chooses an unusual way, which is sometimes not understood by the person who is the goal, and that's where the pain comes in. When someone is so hard trying to show that he cares, but the intended person does not realize it. It is even more painful when the only response that comes is silence. Because sometimes, silence is not just not knowing what to say. But it is the sharpest form of rejection a person can give without hurting with words. That night, after the meeting was over and the members went home one by one, only Jungkook remained in the rehearsal room. The camera was turned off, the staff began to leave the place, but he still sat in the corner of the room, looking at the empty floor as if he still hoped Jimin would return, either to talk or to just turn around once more. But there was no one. Only a faint light, and the sound of Jungkook's heavy breathing. There was one internal surveillance camera that was accidentally still recording. In the footage, Jungkook takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, then smiles a little blankly. "I think he'll know," she said softly. Then he got up, picked up Jimin's hoodie left on the chair, pressed it against his chest like he was embracing someone who could no longer be touched. Since when has all this changed? Since when did the distance appear? Is it because of the busy schedule of each? Or is it because of one word that was never said at the right time? For sure, everything feels different. Their relationship that was once so close, almost like a shadow of each other, is now slowly becoming two worlds that spin without greeting each other. But for Jungkook, it's clear that the flavor is still there. Still very big. Too big to just let it sink. And that's why he started doing things that barely made sense. Changing his hairstyle resembles the early days of debut, simply because it was Jimin's favorite time. Inserted lyrics in his solo song describing old friends who can't be touched, even secretly went to Jimin's set just to make sure he was okay, then left without saying hello. All those little things that no one ever realizes are like a secret language that can only be understood if the heart is still connected. But if that connection has been lost, then for whom is it all done? For some, it's just a dynamic between friends. But for those who followed BTS's journey from the beginning, it's clear that Jungkook and Jimin's relationship is much more than that. They are not just friends, they are mirrors of each other. Jungkook grew up with Jimin. And Jimin. It's not uncommon for Jungkook to come back when the world feels too heavy, Is Jungkook afraid of losing his place? Are all the crazy things he does just a form of panic from someone who has just realized that he may have been underestimated too many times by the people he values the most? Surprisingly, some time ago, a staff stylist leak. Jungkook stepped slowly down the long corridor of the darkened training building. Only dimly lit emergency lights along the walls. He stared at his phone screen, staring at a name he had opened many times that night. Park Jimin. Again, he didn't type anything. Not a single letter. Because sometimes silence is safer than reopening a wound that hasn't dried. But what Jungkook didn't realize, elsewhere, in a different room, Jimin was also staring at his phone screen, staring at Jungkook's name with the same hesitation. They are both silent, waiting for each other and questioning each other. Who should start first? That day, shocking news came from backstage. Some of the staff watched with their own eyes. Jungkook was seen removing something from his training jacket. When approached, it turned out to be a small brooch with the words "Promise," which is known to be one of Jimin's solo songs. Why did Jungkook keep it? And why is it like hiding it from others? According to eyewitnesses, Jungkook looked nervous. But she kept the brooch in her purse and whispered, "I don't want to look too hopeful." Does this mean Jungkook is still waiting for something? Or is it that he is desperate but can't let go? Even more surprising, a few days later, a fan noticed a subtle detail in one of their dance practice videos. In a moment when the camera doesn't seem to be recording in full, Jungkook is seen transforming a very distinctive choreographed movement into Jimin's signature style from 2017. The gesture was particularly iconic for longtime fans. But what does that mean? Is it a silent signal? Was Jungkook trying to send a message to Jimin through gestures? What makes it all the more emotional is when Jimin's birthday arrives. There were no direct remarks from Jungkook on social media. There are no uploads like before. The army also began to speculate. Are they really being stretched? But behind it all, a fanbase account revealed that Jungkook sent gifts via private courier to Jimin's house. What's in it? A hand-painted portrait of Jungkook himself, not a face, but the image of two people sitting side by side, staring at the night sky. Behind the painting are the words, "If the night is too quiet, remember that I was once a star in your sky." At that moment, the fans began to tremble. This is not just a gift. It is a form of deep inner communication. But again, no response from Jimin. Then what exactly happened? Is Jimin too sick to answer? Or he actually already responded, just in a way that is not visible to the public. A few weeks later, when Jimin appeared on a Japanese radio show, he was asked who was the most changed member of BTS. Jimin was silent for a moment before replying, "Maybe Jungkook." But the change is not because he wants to change. Sometimes people change because they no longer know how to be themselves. This answer instantly left everyone speechless. Is this a veiled admission that he is aware of Jungkook's struggles? The army's reaction was divided. Many began to realize that it was not only Jungkook who was injured, but also Jimin. They are both trapped in an unspeakable sense. In the sacrifice of not being seen and the fear of going further. And in the midst of all this, HYB was seen choosing silence. They did not provide any clarification, nor did they take advantage of this moment as a promotion, something that agencies usually never miss. Does this mean that HYB also knows that there are personal things that are too sensitive to touch? An insider told the media. Both take time. But everyone around them knows that this relationship cannot be forced. Jungkook is too sincere, and Jimin is too careful. The statement actually confirms that their relationship is not a drama. This is not a petty conflict or trivial quarrel. This is the dilemma of two people who share too much of the past, but are now confused about determining the future. But that all changed when Jungkook performed a new song called "If You Hear Me." No one knew that this song was written by Jungkook himself, just a few days after a cold meeting with Jimin. The lyrics are heartbreaking, as if written for one person only. If you don't believe me, let me be a shadow. If you can't hear my voice, shut up. But just once, look back, I'm still there. The soldiers were crying, and not a few who feel the lyrics are intended for Jimin. But did Jimin watch that performance? Did he understand the message that was delivered openly but secretly? The day after the show, Jimin posted a story with a picture of the night sky and a short caption, "I know you're still there." One sentence, but enough to bring the world to a standstill. Is this the response Jungkook has been waiting for? Is this a sign that Jimin has finally realized all the effort and love that has been hidden?